Do you need to fire your cleaner?
We know that is harsh, but they are the backbone of your business.
Hi, I'm Sarah Karakayan.
And I'm Annette Grant. And together we are
Thanks for visiting.
We've been hosting for well over a decade, welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and earned thousands of 5-star reviews.
Our portfolio continues to bring in over 1.5 million year over year, and supported not only by the industry's leading brands, but also some of the biggest media outlets.
And we're here to help you with your furnished rental.
We know that finding the right cleaner can be tough, but sometimes firing them or parting ways can be even tougher.
Ooh, this is one of the most common things we hear from hosts over and over again is they're not happy with their cleaner, they're not up to snuff, and listen, when you permit it, you promote it. They hold on to these cleaners for so long. It's like they kind of bow down, like it's the only cleaner in their town that's gonna be able to help them, and quite frankly, a lot of times it's the hosts that they're just being lazy and they don't wanna go out and hire and find someone new, and or they know, oh my gosh, it might fall on my plate for a little while instead of just letting that person go. But again, if you permit it, you promote it. The problem's not going to go away. And really, you got to find someone new.
Let's make sure that we are in the right mindset here. And these words are very important that I'm choosing right now. The cleaners that you hire will never clean like you. They might clean as well as you. They might clean better than you. But they may not clean like you. So if you don't like the order in which they do it, or if you don't like, I don't know, again, they don't do it exactly your way, which, first of all, there's a legal conversation there of they're not your employee and you're hiring them as a professional in their trade. You can't tell them how to do the job. You can tell them what you want the outcome to be, but you cannot tell them how to do it. Check yourself there. And if the outcome isn't what you expect, is that because you're not being a good teacher? Is that because there's some sort of miscommunication in what those expectations are? Do they have sample photos? Do you give them expectations of, no, like, I don't want to find any dust on the baseboards ever, right? I mean, is there a checklist that you
Have provided
that you explain to the cleaner, this checklist is our contract each and every time? So if you check this off and you understand what I'm expecting on that line item, then that is you and me on the same page, understanding, and there's a picture on that checklist item of this is how the bed I'd like the final result to be, of how it should look like. And there should be no stains and there should be no hair, check mark. So go back before you go ahead and let go of a cleaner or fire them, ask yourself, look in the mirror, have you been a good client?
And I want to share, a lot of times when we talk to hosts that are thinking that their cleaner isn't up to their standards, it's not really the cleaning. They're asking them to go above and beyond and do what an inspector role would do, like someone checking all of the safety items, staging the home before the guest. They're maybe even asking their cleaner to do maintenance projects. So I also want to just really have you take a look and like, are you asking them to go way above and beyond what the cleaner role is? And should there be someone either different in those inspector roles and maintenance roles, and or do they need additional compensation for that inspector role and maintenance role?
I love what Annette said. Are you expecting them to do all the things? And I can tell you this is a very Instagram guru thing that educators like to say. It's like, just find the right cleaner and then you can go vacation in Hawaii for all of time. It's like the cleaner role is running your entire business. They are the backbone of your business. They shouldn't be running it for you, and they shouldn't be expected to do all the things: inventory, inspection, safety,
taking
all
all
that
the trash
stuff,
out.
all that stuff, right? And then ask yourself, do they have the right tools? Now, technically, if they are a vendor and they're not your employee, they need to be providing their own tools. But if you tell them when you hire them that you are pet friendly and they don't have pet friendly tools, that needs to be conversation between the two of you and how you can make sure that they have the right tools to get the outcome that you desire as the client.
Absolutely. This is the thing to make sure. Do you have a washer and dryer if they're doing the laundry that they can get it done in the time that they're there? Do you have those new pieces of equipment, the washer and dryer? Again, the vacuum. Do they have a top-notch vacuum cleaner? So many times when I had chats with my cleaners and I just asked them like, hey, why is this not as clean as it used to be? Or why is this taking so long? And it was simply like, oh, you need a new mop, or that's not the kind that you prefer to use? Let's fix that with the right tools and have them in the home. So communication is always key here.
And a little tip on that. So often if they're a good cleaner, they have other clients, not just you. So in the moment, they might be cursing that washer and dryer and it's not working, and you think they're gonna drop what they're doing and call you and tell you. They might think in their head, I need to tell my client later that this is not working anymore. But then they go home to their families and their lives and all the things that they've got going on and they forget. So I think it's our job as CEO of our business to check in with our vendors and ask them, how has the job been going? Are the tools that we have on site, are they adequate? Are there any struggles that you have that I can help you improve and be a good partner in? So you have to take control of the process and make sure that you're checking in with them. They need to check with you, yes, but the thing we can control is ourselves and how we check in with our vendors. If you've done what we've suggested and checked yourself first, the things that we can control first.
Are they properly trained? Do they have the right tools? Do we have clear communication? Do we understand their role and define it and make sure that they understand expectations?
And it's been agreed to?
Yes.
And that's another thing, too, we actually could have covered a little bit earlier is there a black and white contract in place? An independent contractor agreement, or if they're your employee, they can still sign an agreement with you of what those expectations are before you even engage in the relationship. I know a lot of people just skip that part because they're so excited to have a cleaner. But I'm telling you, if you both have this black and white thing and you go back and forth and make it just right, you will always have something to go back to make sure that communication has been airtight. But anyway, you've done all that and it's still not going well. And it's time to let them go. Let's go over the 5 reasons it might be time to fire the cleaner. Now I can say this, and you'll have to check out our inspector video to get more information on what the inspector does. But this should never happen if you have an inspector after your cleaner, which is great because that way your guests aren't the one telling you that quality is suffering, because you can't undo a bad review on quality, right? But if these issues are popping up, if you don't have an inspector and it's going from the cleaner to guest arrival, and you are getting dings on your reviews, mentions to you privately.
On cleanliness specifically, that is red flag. You have got to do something about that.
Obviously. So like there's dust, there's a hair in the bed.
Maybe dishes
in the sink. Or hey, just want to let you know there was still trash in the bathroom. Or hey, just want to let you know the shower curtain looks a little pink. Hey, I just want to let you know, what I mean? Like your guests are letting you know, but I also want to set the standard here at, Thanks for Visiting channel, that your guests should not be telling you these things. So again, go watch an inspector video because that is our secret sauce to being the best in our area.
And the final straw, we've witnessed this of, not in our own places, but others of like, we just had a really bad experience, but let's say, towels not being completely dry, linens not being completely changed. Those are things that are like instant. Like that's a huge cleanliness issue. So you just need to know those things, not okay, nada, never. Beds have to be changed each and every time. Towels have to be washed each and every time and thoroughly dry. You know when you've frantically been like texting, are they going to show up on time?
Are you there yet? Are you there yet? Hey, you keep checking the lock. Like, did they unlock it yet?
Yeah, that is a nail-biting situation.
Or if they cancel last minute, especially any of you remote hosts out there, you cannot, like that is a deal breaker. That is a business breaker for you, that if they cancel morning of, hours before they're supposed to be there. I mean, that.
Here is the next thing that I am absolutely blown away when I talk to hosts is how they have cleaners that dictate the their calendar, where they literally have, I just was talking to a host last week and she had every Tuesday blocked off, and I'm like, well, you can't get bookings because why is every single Tuesday? And it was like, well, that's when my cleaner wants to come and clean from my weekend stays. And I was like, what?
Because you're losing money now.
Right, or there's a cleaner that like will not do back to back because they need, they need to go in, they might need to be there after 4 o'clock. And I'm like, that is, to me, that person is dictating the amount of revenue that you can make. So you need to have a cleaner that they are able to work within your schedule, not their own. I've heard it from hosts before. A cleaner maybe doesn't want to work on a Sunday, so they block off every Sunday. They can never have a check-in on Sunday. I just want to warn you, that is letting someone else run your business and dictate your bottom line. And now, if you have a cleaner that you love that has some parameters like that, that's all good. You can still have them, but you got to have somebody else. Letting them dictate your calendar with their schedule, you can't do that.
No, you have enough things that you need to
Coordinate
and be thinking about preemptively that this is a lot. The cleaner, you and this cleaner need to be kumbaya. Like, you need to be one with each other and have that relationship. Like, you are putting food on their table and they are helping you put food on your table.
That's that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is something that you have to discuss before you hire them, so that it is not this like employee-employer situation. It is, no, as the vendor, we discussed at the interview time that I have checklists, and these, yes, we're signing this independent contractor agreement overall, but each clean, we have this checklist, and it's our contract each and every time that, hey, if these things are done, I will then remit payment. It's just like any other contracting job that you do. Once the windows are installed, I will remit payment. Once the HVAC is working, I will remit payment. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. And so if they agree to that during the interview process, and then all of a sudden they're giving pushback on the checklist, like, no, that was agreed before we even engaged in services.
And the system can even be how they let you know the job is complete and when and how you will pay them. I am still blown away with how many hosts, their cleaners will, like, they only want to take cash payment. They don't want to fill out they don't want to fill out a W-9 so that you can 1099 them. It's like, no, that is your system for accounting. So when we say systems,
operating compliant with the IRS.
right. So even when we say systems, it's even systems in the way that you are going to compensate them, in the way that they will receive that pay. So that's where I see hosts all over the place. Also, kind of bending the rules just to make sure that they're taking care of their cleaner.
And you'll get to know us here that I am huge on using an app to make sure that they started the clean. The app has the checklist, and when they're done with the clean, they put done. That way I know what time they arrived. I know what time they finished. We have the agreement of like, hey, these things are done. There are photos each and every time of what it should look like when they're done. So there's, again, communication. And if I tell this cleaner before we hire them and we become engaged in work together, that they're okay with using this app, and then we actually get to the job and they're not starting it, the app when they arrive, they're not finishing it when they're done, and then they give you pushback on it. It's like, again, go back to that interview and the independent contractor agreement. No, this was part of the deal. And I need to know this because I need to know that you are doing what we've agreed that you would do. And I don't want to be worrying. What if something happens where you can't tell me that you're going to be late? I know that you are consistent with this application and you haven't checked in yet. I now can be worried about your safety, and I can be figuring things. Like, there's so many reasons why using technology to communicate is beneficial to you and the cleaner. And if you agreed on it and they stop saying that they'll do it or they don't do it, that's a huge red flag. Let's do it the obvious first. They're not locking the door upon their departure. You better believe your guest goes to check in if you don't have an inspector and the door is unlocked. They're already like, who is this host? Like, I don't know if it's safe to go in.
Or like propping doors open. That's very common, especially if they're, let's say you have a multifamily and they're doing multiple things at a time. They might prop doors open, front door, back door. Maybe they're even just airing out the property. Those are huge safety concerns we got to have a checklist for. Kind of, and not as obvious safety and liability concern is I've had cleaners before where I've come to the property and there's a team member I never knew about, or someone else is cleaning that I've never been introduced to, or maybe they brought their kid to work day. Just there's a plethora of things that, like, you need to know who is going to be on your property and who is on their team, because they're humans that you're liable for on your property, and you want to make sure that you know who's in your property. And that does happen. And so that's where you want to be really clear with them ahead of time, who is going to be on their team, what does their team look like, and so you know who's going to be on your property.
And then we have other safety issues like chemicals that they're using, right?
Yeah.
The cleaner is not only the backbone of your business, but it is not just a job that any Joe Schmo can do. There are chemicals involved, there are safety concerns, there are materials they're responsible for. It's hard work, and You gotta have time blocking skills. You gotta know how to get the clean done within a certain amount of time. So just going back to safety and liability, if they're just using whatever product that wasn't agreed upon, again, when you hired them, and your guests are coming in, they're saying, hey, it smelled really strong of whether it's bleach or whatever it is, and you're like, we didn't agree on that, or you're using this harsh abrasive on the stone, or this happened to me where a cleaner sent someone who I didn't know to the property, and they were cleaning the oven out, and the oven cleaner was meant for a commercial oven, because usually in commercial settings, the flooring is tile or something much more durable. Well, we had wood flooring below this oven, and the chemical leaked on the floor, and it ate through the wood floor. You know, and that's a big expense to us now, right? That didn't have to happen because this cleaner should have known that that product wasn't appropriate for a residential oven.
And we see that often. So there can be damages due to negligence, like Sarah said, maybe using the wrong cleaners, even using the wrong detergent in laundry. Raise your hand if you've used something and all your white sheets are now blue because you poured detergent directly on it. There are things like that, or used too much of an abrasive sponge, on trying to get something out, and then your sink is scratched up, your tile scratched up. So you got to make sure that that there isn't damage due to negligence also. Ugh. But remember, you got to check yourself. Do they know what your brand standards are? Again, is it, Sarah and I have a very specific way that we like to make the bed. We have a specific way that our towels are folded and presented. We have a certain way that our coffee is presented. The things are displayed, even the way, like our towel and sponge, certain things, like we have standards in each and every home, but those have been clearly communicated.
We do believe in firing fast. But what does firing fast mean? It doesn't mean like literally the first time they miss something that you're like, get out, like, no, we're all humans. They might be a new business owner. They might be going through something at that point in time when you engaged. Like there might be things happening. So treat them, they don't need to know this, but like treat this as if they were an employee. So if you've ever been an employee yourself, you know that there are steps that a company takes before you're fired. And that's for legal reasons. So I like to do these things before we fire, but just don't let it linger for too long. I've done that because it's a hard thing to do, and I know, but I'm telling you, you are just one conversation away from having a better cleaner.
Yeah, for sure. So what is it? It's clarity is kindness. Let's have that conversation of you're not meeting brand standards you used to. It's kind of just like, hey, what's going on? A lot of times, like we've noticed that the cleans aren't where they used to be. You're not meeting these standards. Maybe they're showing up late. So it's like clearly defining, though, what you're seeing and when. Not just saying, hey, your cleans aren't there anymore. It's like, hey,
what specifically happened?
You need to share exactly when. And the closer you can get to the, for lack of a better term, incident, like you can't let things linger. It's like if you notice there's something really missing, you need to address it immediately. But yeah, have that. What's going on? This isn't up to the standards. Let's chat it out.
Once you chat it out, provide suggestions or ask them, what can I do to make it clearer that we would like the towels to be dry fully before presenting it back to the guest or putting it into the housekeeping closet because it grows mold if it sits there wet. Like, what can we do? If they're like, listen, the dryer just doesn't dry fast enough, or I'm rushing, whatever it is, and you need to have a way to solve the problem. If they're just giving excuses, again, that's just another red flag, and you're going to have that hard conversation sooner than you thought. But if it's a real situation, like, hey, your dryer sucks, like it's old, and you do it yourself, and you're like, no, this is taking hours, and it's still not dry, then you might have to buy a new dryer. This is just an example. You can't expect them to do the impossible. But if they're not willing to meet you and to have that solution, that conversation, that's a red flag.
And once you've had that clarity is kindness conversation, you've equipped them with the tools, this is where you can do a trial period of like, okay, we've had a reset. We've done this several times. We've had to do a reset, and they came back. It's like, hey, let's reset. Let's do a trial period again, and there's a trial period. And it's like they crushed it or they didn't. So we are giving them that trial period, second chance, if you will, after everything's been communicated. If we need to equip them with something else, that's the next thing you want to do.
And if you say there's a trial period and you say we're going to do 3 more cleans, 3 more turnovers, And if these situations, if these issues aren't remedied, we're going to have to part ways. Stick to it.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, you have to do it.
That's so much easier said than done. We know it.
It is, yeah. But I just want to give you, because I've done the opposite, and the problem doesn't go away. Actually,
Right.
let's do a really quick story time. I had a cleaner, and we'll call her Shelly. Shelly was an incredible cleaner. Shelly showed up on time always. She was incredibly reliable.
She went above and beyond.
Above and beyond. I really didn't need an inspector, but
She
I had one
treated
anyway.
their homes like her own.
Oh,
For sure.
she was incredible. What else? What were brand standards? Fine. She had other clients, but she knew exactly how we liked our towels folded. She would suggest new things. She knew her chemicals. I mean, the woman was incredible. So you're like, well, what's the problem? Well, she had a bad attitude. She could do no wrong. And when something was maybe slightly amiss, or I mentioned, like, I didn't really need an inspector, but I believe in inspectors so much.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to give all the power to one person. I have to have another layer. It's just too important to me. And they knew this when we hired them. We've always had an inspector. They would give the inspector attitude. It was a little bit of a mindset. They were almost like, what is it called? Emotionally abusive a little bit. Holding me beholden to, I couldn't have any other cleaners.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
if I don't remember a reason why, like, the company was growing. Like, I was getting more properties.
It was going to
and
be humanly impossible.
Humanly
for
impossible.
them to be able to do all of it, yeah.
Right. And she wasn't willing to hire people, right, and to grow her company. So I felt like I couldn't grow any bigger because she refused to know that I was working with any other cleaner. It was just like,
Well, and then you get stuck because it's like your business will crumble depending on how many properties that you have.
Right.
Never rely on one single cleaner.
right. And so there's many lessons that came out of this thing. I would tell her, hey, you can't speak to me like that, or you cannot speak to the inspector like that, or I need to grow the company, so I will be having other cleaners at these other locations. But I would continue to cater to her because she was such a good cleaner. Oh my gosh, she was good. But the problem never went away, is the point of my story. Right? It actually got worse.
Yeah, and you did try to do the trial.
So much so that, like, I'm a pretty strong person, and it would bring me to tears sometimes, how she would make me feel about the decisions I needed to make. And so I put off letting her go for way too long. But let me tell you, I'm not going to lie. I went through another cleaner that I had to let go and a second cleaner that I had to let go. But I'm telling you, once I let go Shelly,
made it easier the next time.
the next let go, oh, fine. The next let go, fine. And those are for two different reasons. One, they weren't good cleaners. The other one, they would show up like 45 minutes before check-in, not okay. But then I found the next winner,
Yeah.
you know, and they've been in place now for over 2 years at this point. So I just want to tell you that I get it. It is hard, but I wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
And I had people who love me who told me to do it sooner, but it's harder said than done. And I understand
Because they
that.
are the backbone of your business.
They
like
are.
we get that, and that's why it's like it's tough. It's tough, but you don't have to go through all of that. You just want to find the next one. And when we say backup too, we understand you might be in a really small town. Or maybe you're just busy, and so find like the thought of having backup cleaners and how do you even coordinate that? We're even just saying a backup could be you, it could be a family member, it could be a neighbor, it could be another professional cleaning service, but you have a relationship with them, you know what their rates are, you know how far in advance you would need to call. And even if, let's say it's a professional firm and it's going to be double what you would normally pay, that's okay because sometimes you just got to get the job done. So always have a backup for your backup, because I've had cleaners, they just like literally car accident. They can't get there. And it's like, well, okay, then I'm the person that's going to go clean that day. I've had to have my mom come, my sister, like whoever, but like be prepared, have a backup because you're going to need it at some point in time.
And if you're watching this video and you actually have several properties, don't make my mistake and just because you have one incredible cleaner, refuse to grow your cleaning options. Still have, it's just a healthier way to run your business to have multiple cleaners that you can depend on, and let them know you will not be the only one.
Right.
Maybe they own that property, but that you have this other cleaner who knows your brand standards, they know your checklist, they know the app that you use. So if that cleaner ever gets sick,
Goes on vacation.
car accident, whatever, that other cleaner, they know exactly what to do because your systems are the same, it's just a different location. Finding your dream cleaner. We have a video all about that. We've perfected this process. Go check out that video. It's awesome. With that, I am Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting.